Maya Richardson Hartwell couldn't believe her eyes when barely 3 months after she inherited $5 billion and left her ex-husband Marcus's mistress Vanessa screaming, "You left a billionaire?" In that parking garage, Marcus walked into family court with an army of lawyers demanding full custody of their baby daughter Naomi, claiming that a grieving billionaire was mentally unstable and unfit to parent. The same man who'd divorced his pregnant wife 24 hours after her father's death, the same man who'd married his mistress while Maya's hands still smelled like funeral flowers, was now standing in front of a judge, arguing that he deserved to raise the billion-dollar heiress he'd abandoned. But what shattered Maya's heart into pieces she could barely hold together wasn't just Marcus trying to take her baby. It was seeing Vanessa sitting in the courtroom gallery, no longer his wife, after their 6-week marriage imploded, but now his expert witness, ready to testify that Maya was an unfit mother. The mistress who'd whispered, "Finally," when Maya's father died, was now trying to help Marcus steal the granddaughter her daddy never got to meet. What Marcus didn't know as he presented his custody petition, what Vanessa didn't know as she prepared to lie under oath, was that Maya's father had predicted this exact moment. In a sealed letter he had left with his attorney, to be opened only if Marcus ever tried to claim parental rights, her father had written 3 devastating words that would become Maya's weapon: "Show no mercy." And inside that letter was evidence, recordings, proof of things about Marcus that would destroy him in ways he never imagined. So the question isn't just what happened after she inherited $5 billion and left his mistress screaming. It's this: what does a billionaire mother with her father's protection from beyond the grave do when her ex-husband tries to weaponize the court system to steal her child? How does a woman who lost everything find the strength to fight the man who once made her beg him to stay? And what secrets did Maya's father uncover about Marcus in those final weeks before he died? Secrets so dark, so damning, that when the judge heard them, Marcus wouldn't just lose custody, he'd lose everything. Because what Maya did next didn't just leave Marcus and Vanessa screaming. It left the entire city questioning everything they thought they knew about power, justice, and what happens when you underestimate a mother's love. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how we got here, I need to take you back to 3 months after the parking garage scream, to the morning Maya opened her father's music box and found the letter that would change everything. Listen, if you missed part 1 of this story, the link is in the description, and you need to watch it first, because what's about to happen will hit 10 times harder when you know how Maya got here. But if you're already caught up, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this part of Maya's story will show you that karma doesn't just come for people who do wrong. It brings receipts. Smash that like button if you believe children deserve to be protected from people who only want them for money. And comment below. Have you ever had to fight for something you thought you'd already won? Tell me, because Maya's about to teach us all what real fighting looks like. Now let's go back to that music box, because what her father left inside would arm her for the battle of her life. The music box sat on Maya's dresser in her Brooklyn brownstone, wrapped in tissue paper that had yellowed slightly with time. It had arrived 3 days ago, Naomi's 3-month birthday, delivered by Harold Ashford with a simple note. Your father left instructions that you were to receive this on your daughter's 3-month milestone. He said you'd know when to open it. Maya had been staring at it for those 3 days, afraid of what it might contain. Another letter. Another reminder of the man she'd lost. Another wave of grief she wasn't sure she could survive while caring for a newborn alone. But that morning, with Naomi sleeping peacefully in her crib and sunlight streaming through the windows of the nursery her father had designed but never got to see, Maya finally opened it. The music box was beautiful. Hand-carved rosewood with inlaid mother of pearl, depicting a father holding his daughter under a starry sky. When she lifted the lid, a gentle melody began to play, a lullaby her father used to hum to her when she was small. Inside, nestled in velvet, was a USB drive in a sealed envelope with her father's handwriting. Open only if Marcus tries to take Naomi. Trust me, baby girl, I've got you. Maya's hands trembled as she stared at those words. Her father had known. Even 3 months before he died, even while fighting cancer, even while Marcus was pretending to be a devoted husband, her father had known this would happen. She wanted to open the envelope right then, wanted to see what he'd left her. But something stopped her. Some instinct that said, not yet. Wait until you need it. Wait until the moment is right. She placed the music box in her safe, next to the documents from her inheritance, and tried to push it from her mind. That lasted exactly 2 weeks. Maya was in her home office, Naomi napping in a bassinet beside her desk, when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Maya Richardson? A professional female voice. Yes? This is Jennifer Walsh from the law offices of Brennan and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of my client, Marcus Richardson, regarding a custody matter concerning the minor child Naomi James Richardson Hartwell. The floor dropped out from under Maya's world. Custody matter? Mr. Richardson is filing for full physical and legal custody of his daughter. You'll be served with papers within 48 hours. We'd hope to resolve this amicably. But given your current mental state and the concerns about your fitness as a parent, my client feels he has no choice but to pursue this through the courts. My mental state? Maya's voice was ice. I'm perfectly fine. I'm raising my daughter. What concerns? The concerns outlined in the petition. You'll see them when you're served. We'll be in touch. The lawyer hung up. Maya sat there, phone in her hand, staring at nothing. He was trying to take her baby. The man who'd abandoned her while she was pregnant. The man who'd married his mistress while her father's grave was still fresh. He was trying to take the only family she had left. Naomi stirred in her bassinet, making the small sounds that meant she'd wake soon. Maya looked at her daughter, 3 months old, perfect, innocent, her father's eyes and her grandfather's smile, and felt something crack open inside her chest. Not grief this time, not pain. Rage. Pure, cold, crystalline rage. She picked up her phone and called Harold Ashford. Uncle Harry, I need you to open my father's sealed letter, the one about Marcus and parental rights. There was a pause. He's filing for custody? His lawyer just called. I'll be there in an hour. Maya, your father prepared for this. Everything you need, he left for you. Trust the plan. Those words again. Trust the plan. An hour later, Harold sat in Maya's living room, a thick folder in front of him and an expression on his face that was part sorrow, part satisfaction. Your father knew Marcus would do this, Harold said quietly. About 3 weeks before he died, Marcus came to visit him in the hospital. Do you remember that? He told me he couldn't get away from work. He visited? He did. And your father, sick as he was, recorded the entire conversation. Harold pulled out his laptop and turned it toward Maya. Your father was very careful about this. Everything was done legally. One-party consent recording in a hospital room where Marcus had no expectation of privacy. It would be admissible in court. He pressed play. The video showed her father in his hospital bed, looking frail but alert. Marcus entered, and the change in his demeanor was instant, impatient, uncomfortable, checking his watch. Hey, James, how you feeling? Like I'm dying, Marcus. Because I am. Her father's voice was weak but steady. Right. Yeah, listen, I can't stay long. Got a work thing. But I wanted to talk to you about something important. Go ahead. Marcus shifted, clearly uncomfortable. It's about Maya and the baby. I'm just going to be straight with you. I don't think I can do this. The marriage, the kid, all of it. It's not what I signed up for. Maya's hand went to her mouth. This was 3 weeks before her father died, while she was still pregnant, while Marcus was still pretending everything was fine. You signed up for marriage vows, her father said quietly, in sickness and health, for better or worse. Yeah, well, things change. Maya's different now. She's all focused on you being sick and the pregnancy. She's not the woman I married, and honestly, with you going, I'm looking at being stuck supporting her and a kid on my salary alone. That's not sustainable. Sustainable? Her father's voice carried barely controlled anger. My daughter is having your child, and you're talking about sustainability like she's a business expense. I'm being realistic. And look, I hate to bring this up, but do you have life insurance? Anything that might help offset costs after you're gone? Maya felt sick. He'd asked her dying father for money. I have something better than life insurance, Marcus. I have clarity. I see exactly who you are now, and I want you to know something. My daughter's going to be fine when I'm gone, better than fine. You, on the other hand, are going to spend the rest of your life regretting this conversation. Whatever, man, I'm just being honest. So am I. Get out of my room. The video ended. Harold closed the laptop. That was recording number 1. There are 3 more, all equally damning. Your father also hired a private investigator who documented Marcus's affair with Vanessa, dates, times, hotel receipts, everything, And here's the part Marcus doesn't know. Your father had his attorney send a letter to Marcus 6 weeks ago before Marcus filed for custody. What kind of letter? A letter offering him a one-time payment of $50,000 in exchange for signing away all parental rights to Naomi, permanently and irrevocably. No contact, no custody, no claims to her or her inheritance. Ever. Maya's eyes widened. What did Marcus say? He didn't respond. He threw the letter away. We know because the PI retrieved it from his trash. Your father predicted he'd ignore a small amount like $50,000 because he'd eventually realize Naomi is worth billions, and that by rejecting the offer, Marcus would demonstrate that he has no interest in being a father, only in accessing her inheritance. But he can't access it. The trust is ironclad. He doesn't know that. He thinks that with full custody he could control her assets as her guardian. What he doesn't realize is that your father named an independent trustee, me, who cannot be removed except by court order. Even if Marcus won custody, which he won't, he'd never touch a penny of Naomi's money. Harold pulled out the sealed letter. Your father's instructions were clear. If Marcus filed for custody, I was to give you this and offer you the firm's full resources to fight him. Every attorney, every private investigator, every expert witness we have, pro bono, because your father retained us on a $10 million fee, specifically for this purpose. Maya took the letter with shaking hands and opened it. The handwriting was shakier than usual. Her father had been very sick when he wrote this, but the words were clear. My darling Maya, if you're reading this, Marcus has shown his true colors. He's not trying to be a father. He's trying to be a thief. He sees Naomi as a paycheck, as access to wealth he was too stupid to keep when he had it. This is unforgivable. So I want you to listen carefully. Show no mercy. Use every piece of evidence I've left you. Expose him for what he is. Protect my granddaughter with everything you have. I know you're scared. I know you're tired. I know part of you still wants to believe Marcus has some good in him, but baby girl, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be ruthless with people who threaten your child. Fight him, destroy his case, and when it's over, make sure he never ever has the power to hurt Naomi the way he hurt you. You are not alone in this. You have resources, you have evidence, you have me, even from beyond the grave, and you have something Marcus will never have, the truth. Use it, with all my love and faith in you, Daddy. P.S. Vanessa will try to help him. I've left evidence about her too. Remember, show no mercy. Maya read it 3 times, tears streaming down her face, her father's voice echoing in her head as clearly as if he were standing beside her. Show no mercy. She looked up at Harold. When's the custody hearing? Preliminary hearing is in 2 weeks. That's when Marcus will present his case for why you're unfit. And Vanessa? She's listed as a witness. Apparently, during their brief marriage, she documented things she claims show you in an unstable light. Text messages you sent, social media posts, that kind of thing. All taken out of context, I'm sure, but potentially damaging if not properly challenged. Maya stood, her decision made. Uncle Harry, I want you to do something for me. Anything. I want you to offer Marcus one more chance, one more payment, bigger this time. Let's say $5,000 to walk away permanently. Document his response carefully. Why? We have all the evidence we need to destroy him. Maya smiled, and it was her father's smile, the one that said she knew exactly what she was doing. Because when he rejects $500,000, when he holds out for more, it'll prove he's not interested in Naomi at all. He's interested in her billions, and that, Uncle Harry, is going to destroy him in court more effectively than anything else we could present. Harold's expression shifted to admiration. Your father would be so proud of you right now. He raised me well. Maya looked at the letter in her hands. Now let's show Marcus what happens when you threaten a Hartwell's family. 2 days later, Marcus received a certified letter offering him $500,000 to terminate his parental rights. His response came within 6 hours. Rejected. See you in court. Harold called Maya immediately. He took the bait. Good, Maya said, looking at Naomi sleeping peacefully in her arms. Now let's end this. The family courtroom was smaller than Maya expected, more intimate, which somehow made it worse. Every lie Marcus was about to tell, every accusation Vanessa was about to make, would happen just feet away from her, close enough to see their faces, to smell Marcus's expensive cologne, the one he'd never worn when they were married but started using when he met Vanessa. Maya sat at the plaintiff's table with Harold and 2 other attorneys from Hartwell and Associates. Across the aisle, Marcus sat with his lawyer, Jennifer Walsh, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who looked like she ate opposing counsel for breakfast. Behind them, in the gallery, sat Vanessa, dressed conservatively. Navy blue dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back, trying to look like a concerned family friend instead of the mistress who'd whispered, "Finally," when Maya's father died. Judge Catherine Morrison entered, a black woman in her 60s with kind eyes but a reputation for suffering no fools. "Be seated. We're here for the preliminary custody hearing in the matter of Richardson vs. Richardson Hartwell. Mr. Richardson is petitioning for full custody of the minor child, Naomi James Richardson Hartwell, currently 3 months old." Marcus's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client is here today because he's deeply concerned about his daughter's welfare. Miss Richardson Hartwell, while financially well off due to a recent inheritance, is emotionally unstable, socially isolated, and potentially suffering from severe postpartum depression that she refuses to acknowledge or treat." Maya felt Harold's hand on her arm, steadying her. "Furthermore," Walsh continued, "Miss Richardson Hartwell has demonstrated erratic behavior, including blocking my client from seeing his daughter, making disparaging remarks about him on social media, and creating a toxic environment that prioritizes her own grief and trauma over the child's needs." "Your Honor," Harold stood smoothly, "I'd like to address these allegations directly, but first I'd like to establish some context about Mr. Richardson's interest in his daughter." "Proceed." "Mr. Richardson divorced Miss Richardson Hartwell when she was 6 months pregnant, exactly 24 hours after her father's funeral. He then married another woman, his former mistress, within 48 hours of the divorce being finalized. That marriage lasted 6 weeks before ending in divorce. During the first 3 months of baby Naomi's life, Mr. Richardson requested supervised visitation exactly twice, each visit lasting less than 30 minutes, and he left both visits early. He has never changed a diaper, never fed his daughter, never attended a pediatrician appointment. Until 2 weeks ago, when he filed this petition, he showed no interest in parenting whatsoever." Judge Morrison's expression shifted slightly. "Is this accurate, Mr. Richardson?" Marcus stood. "Your Honor, I was giving Maya space to grieve and bond with the baby. I didn't want to intrude during a difficult time." "You didn't want to intrude," the judge repeated slowly, "on your own daughter's life?" "I was being respectful of Maya's process." "I see. Ms. Walsh, what evidence do you have of Miss Richardson Hartwell's alleged instability?" Walsh pulled out a folder. "We have documentation from Ms. Vanessa Chen, who briefly lived with Mr. Richardson and observed Miss Richardson Hartwell during custody exchanges. We have text messages showing erratic behavior, social media posts that demonstrate—" "Your Honor," Harold interrupted, "I'd like to impeach Ms. Chen's credibility as a witness before we proceed with her testimony." "On what grounds?" "On the grounds that Ms. Chen is the woman Mr. Richardson committed adultery with during his marriage to Miss Richardson Hartwell, that she has a documented history of hostility toward my client, and that she has a vested financial interest in Mr. Richardson gaining custody." Walsh's face tightened. "Ms. Chen has no financial interest in this case." "Actually, she does." Harold pulled out his own folder. "Ms. Chen filed for bankruptcy 3 months ago with debts exceeding $200,000. She lost her job 2 months ago after the scandal of her affair with Mr. Richardson became public at her workplace. She's currently unemployed, living in a sublet apartment, and according to text messages we've subpoenaed, she and Mr. Richardson have discussed what they would do with access to Naomi's trust fund." "That's not true." Vanessa stood up in the gallery. "Sit down, please," Judge Morrison said sharply. "Ms. Walsh, is your witness testifying today?" "She is, Your Honor." "Then call her now. I want to hear this directly." Vanessa was sworn in, her hand shaking slightly on the Bible. She sat in the witness box trying to maintain her composure, but Maya could see the cracks forming. Walsh started gently. "Ms. Chen, how do you know the parties in this case?" "I worked with Marcus, Mr. Richardson, at Davidson Marketing Group. We became close friends, and eventually we fell in love. I know it wasn't ideal timing, but these things happen." "And you've observed Miss Richardson Hartwell's behavior?" "Yes. During the 2 custody exchanges I was present for, Maya was clearly unstable. She was crying, erratic, saying bizarre things. She told Marcus he'd regret everything, that karma was coming for him. She seemed paranoid and disconnected from reality." "And these observations concerned you?" "Very much. I'm worried about baby Naomi being raised by someone so emotionally volatile." Harold stood for cross-examination, and his smile was deadly. "Ms. Chen, you said you and Mr. Richardson fell in love. When exactly did this love begin?" "About 8 months ago." 8 months ago? And when was Miss Richardson Hartwell's father diagnosed with terminal cancer?" Vanessa's face paled slightly. I don't know exactly. It was 9 months ago, so your love affair began while Miss Richardson Hartwell's father was dying and she was pregnant with Mr. Richardson's child. Is that correct? We didn't plan it that way. Yes or no, please? Yes. And you attended Miss Richardson Hartwell's father's funeral, didn't you? Briefly, yes, to support Marcus. To support him at his estranged wife's father's funeral. How thoughtful. Harold's tone was cutting. And can you tell the court what you said when Mr. James Richardson's heart monitor flatlined? Vanessa's eyes went wide. I don't recall. You don't recall? Let me refresh your memory. Harold pulled out a document. We have testimony from 3 nurses who were present in the ICU that night. All 3 independently reported hearing a woman matching your description say the word finally when Mr. Richardson was pronounced dead. Do you deny saying that? The courtroom went silent. Even Marcus looked shocked. I didn't mean... It was taken out of context, Vanessa stammered. What context makes finally appropriate when a good man dies? I just meant that his suffering was over. His suffering, of course. Harold pulled out another document. Ms. Chen, you testified that you observed Miss Richardson Hartwell during custody exchanges. How many exchanges were there? 2, like I said. And both occurred at Mr. Richardson's apartment where you were living at the time, correct? Yes. The apartment you shared as his mistress, then his wife for 6 weeks, then his ex-wife after your marriage fell apart. Is it fair to say you had a vested interest in Miss Richardson Hartwell looking unstable during these exchanges? I was just observing. You were just observing the woman whose husband you stole, whose father had just died, who'd just given birth, and you expected her to be what? Cheerful, composed, perfectly rational? Walsh stood. Objection? Argumentative? Sustained. Rephrase, Mr. Ashford. Harold nodded. Ms. Chen, have you ever told Mr. Richardson that if he gained custody of Naomi, you two could get back together and live the life you deserve? Vanessa's face went white. How did you... Is that a yes? We talked about possibilities, and did those possibilities include accessing Naomi's inheritance? We never said that explicitly. But you discussed it, yes or no? Vanessa looked at Marcus desperately, but he was staring at the table, his face unreadable. We discussed that having custody would mean Marcus could make financial decisions for her, yes. Financial decisions for a 3-month-old baby. Interesting. Harold pulled out his phone. Your Honor, I'd like to play a recording that was legally obtained through a subpoena of Ms. Chen's phone records. This is a voicemail she left for Mr. Richardson 2 weeks before he filed this custody petition. He pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the courtroom, slightly drunk, bitter. Marcus, I know you're not taking my calls, but you need to listen to me. Your daughter is sitting on billions. Do you understand that? Billions. And you're just letting Maya raise her, letting Maya control everything when you could have custody. You could be making decisions about that money. We could fix everything. My bankruptcy, your debt, all of it. You just need to fight for custody. Any judge would give a father rights to his own kid. Call me back. We need to talk about this. The courtroom erupted. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Vanessa was crying now, her careful composure completely shattered. Ms. Chen, Harold said quietly, does that sound like someone concerned about a child's welfare? Or someone concerned about a child's bank account? I was just trying to help. Help yourself to a 3-month-old's inheritance. I have no further questions for this witness. Vanessa practically ran from the stand, rushing out of the courtroom in tears. Marcus sat frozen, realizing too late that bringing Vanessa had destroyed any credibility he might have had. Judge Morrison looked at Walsh. Do you have any other witnesses? We have Mr. Richardson himself, Your Honor. Call him. Marcus took the stand, sworn in, looking significantly less confident than he had an hour ago. Walsh tried to salvage the situation. Mr. Richardson, can you explain your relationship with your daughter? I love Naomi. She's my child. I want to be in her life. And why are you seeking custody now? Because I'm concerned about Maya's mental state. She's isolating, she's struggling, and I think Naomi would be better off with me. Harold stood for cross-examination, and Maya saw the predator in him now. Mr. Richardson, you testified that you love your daughter. How much did you contribute to her birth? What do you mean? Hospital bills, prenatal care, baby supplies. How much? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Maya had insurance through her father's estate. So $0, is that correct? I was going through a difficult financial transition, a transition that included a $30,000 wedding to Ms. Chen. You had money for that, but not for your daughter's birth. That was different. Indeed it was. Mr. Richardson, do you know your daughter's pediatrician's name? Marcus went blank. Maya handles the medical stuff. What about her favorite toy, her sleep schedule, whether she's been vaccinated? I haven't been given access to that information. You haven't asked for it. In 3 months, you've attended exactly 0 pediatrician appointments, 0 midnight feedings, 0 diaper changes, but now you want full custody. Can you explain why? Because I'm her father. You're her biological father. But Mr. Richardson, let me ask you something else. 3 weeks ago, you were offered $500,000 to terminate your parental rights. You rejected it. Why? Because my daughter isn't for sale. Interesting. Because 2 weeks before that, you were offered $50,000 for the same thing. You ignored that offer completely. Can you explain why $50,000 wasn't enough, but $500,000 was still not enough? Marcus's lawyer started to object, but Marcus cut her off, his temper flaring. Because I know what my daughter is worth. She's going to inherit billions, and I'm her father, so I have rights. He stopped, realizing what he'd just said. The courtroom went silent. Harold smiled. So this is about money. Thank you for clarifying, Your Honor. I'd like to enter into evidence the recording we discussed earlier, the one where Mr. Richardson visits his dying father-in-law and asks about life insurance money. Objection! Walsh was on her feet. That recording is prejudicial. It's directly relevant to Mr. Richardson's motivations. Your Honor, this man asked his dying father-in-law if there was money that could offset the burden of supporting his pregnant wife. The court needs to hear who we're really dealing with, Judge Morrison considered. I'll allow it. Play the recording. The courtroom listened in horrified silence as Marcus's voice filled the space, asking James Richardson about life insurance, calling Maya and the baby unsustainable, treating his dying father-in-law like a potential ATM. When it ended, Judge Morrison looked at Marcus with undisguised disgust. Mr. Richardson, I've been a family court judge for 17 years. I've seen parents fight over custody for many reasons, some noble, some petty, some misguided. But I have never, in all my years, seen someone as transparently motivated by greed as you are right now. Your Honor, I love my daughter. You love her inheritance. There's a difference. Do you have any evidence, any at all, that Miss Richardson Hartwell is actually an unfit mother? Not that she's grieving, not that she's tired, not that she blocked you on social media after you married your mistress. Actual evidence of unfitness? Marcus looked at his lawyer desperately. Walsh stood. Your Honor, we believe the totality of circumstances. The totality of circumstances shows me a young woman who lost her father, was abandoned by her husband, gave birth alone, and is raising her child with dignity despite all of that. And it shows me a man who ignored his daughter for 3 months, rejected reasonable financial settlements, and only became interested in parenting when he learned about her inheritance. Judge Morrison closed the file in front of her. Mr. Richardson, I'm denying your petition for custody. Furthermore, I'm ordering a psychological evaluation before you're granted even supervised visitation. And I'm referring this case to the court's fraud investigation unit because I believe you filed this petition in bad faith with the intent to access a minor child's finances. Marcus went white. Your Honor, please. We're done here. Miss Richardson Hartwell retains full custody. Mr. Richardson, you're lucky I'm not holding you in contempt for wasting this court's time. We're adjourned. The gavel came down like a gunshot. Maya sat perfectly still, barely breathing as the reality sank in. She'd won. Her baby was safe. Marcus stood shakily, his lawyer whispering urgently to him, but he wasn't listening. He was staring at Maya with an expression she'd never seen before, complete and utter defeat. Harold leaned over. Your father would be so proud of you. Maya nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She gathered her things and walked toward the exit, where her security detail waited to escort her home to Naomi. As she passed Marcus in the aisle, he grabbed her arm. Maya, wait, please, I made a mistake. I panicked about money. But I do love Naomi. Please don't cut me out completely. Maya looked at his hand on her arm, then at his face, and she remembered every moment. The hospital room where her father died while Marcus texted about work, the courthouse where he'd married Vanessa while Maya was still reeling from grief, the 3 months of Naomi's life he'd ignored completely. She pulled her arm free. You're right about one thing, Marcus. You did make a mistake. Actually, you made several, but the biggest one was thinking I was weak, thinking I'd fold, thinking my daughter was a prize you could claim whenever you felt like it. Her voice was quiet, deadly calm. My father taught me something important. He taught me that mercy is for people who deserve it, and you don't. She walked out of the courtroom, leaving him standing there, broken and alone. Outside, the afternoon sun was bright, almost blinding after the dim courtroom. Maya stood on the courthouse steps, breathing in the spring air, feeling lighter than she had in months. Her phone buzzed, a text from the nanny. Naomi just rolled over for the first time. She's so strong, just like her mama. Maya smiled through tears, looking up at the sky, imagining her father somewhere out there, smiling back. "We did it, Daddy," she whispered. "We won." But even as she said it, she didn't know that the real battle was just beginning. Because Vanessa, humiliated and desperate, was about to do something that would force Maya to unleash the full power of her inheritance in ways that would shock the entire city. Maya thought the courtroom victory was the end. She thought Marcus and Vanessa would disappear into their shame, lick their wounds in private, and leave her alone to raise Naomi in peace. She was wrong. Because 3 weeks after the custody hearing, on a quiet Tuesday morning while Maya was feeding Naomi in the nursery, her phone exploded with notifications, text after text, email after email, news alerts flooding her screen. The first one made her blood run cold. Breaking. Billionaire heiress Maya Richardson Hartwell under investigation for child endangerment. Her hands shook so violently she almost dropped Naomi. She clicked the link with trembling fingers. The article was on a tabloid news site, but it was detailed, vicious, and spreading like wildfire across social media. It claimed that Maya had been photographed leaving Naomi alone in a car while she shopped at an upscale boutique, that neighbors had reported hearing the baby crying for hours in her brownstone with no one responding, that she'd been seen drinking alcohol while breastfeeding, that Child Protective Services had opened an investigation. Every single word was a lie. But the photos looked real. A woman who looked like Maya, same hair, same build, leaving a baby in a car seat visible through a window. Time-stamped, geotagged, seemingly irrefutable. Maya's phone rang. Harold. "Don't panic," he said immediately. "This is Vanessa. We already know it's Vanessa. The photos are doctored. We've got digital forensics analyzing them now. The tips to CPS came from burner phones we're tracing. This is a coordinated attack." "Why would she do this?" Maya's voice broke. "She already lost. The custody case is over. Because she's desperate. She lost her job, her reputation, everything, and she blames you. Maya, we need to get ahead of this. I'm calling an emergency press conference for this afternoon. We're going to expose exactly who's behind this and why." "A press conference? Uncle Harry, I've never done anything like that. I don't know how to—" "You know how to tell the truth. That's all you need to do. Your father left you resources for a reason, Maya. It's time to use them." 4 hours later, Maya stood behind a podium at the offices of Hartwell and Associates, every major news outlet in the city represented in the room, cameras rolling, reporters shouting questions. She wore a simple navy dress, minimal makeup, and held a folder containing evidence that would destroy Vanessa Chen's credibility forever. Harold stood beside her, along with 2 attorneys and a digital forensics expert. Maya's voice shook at first, but grew stronger as she spoke. "My name is Maya Richardson Hartwell, and this morning I woke up to find myself accused of child endangerment based on fabricated evidence and malicious lies. I'm here today to set the record straight and to expose the person responsible for this attack." She pulled out the first document. "These photos that claim to show me leaving my daughter in a car were digitally altered. Our forensics team has confirmed that my face was superimposed onto another woman's body. The metadata shows the original photos were taken 6 months ago, before my daughter was even born. The alterations were made from an IP address registered to Vanessa Chen, the same woman who testified at my custody hearing 3 weeks ago." Murmurs rippled through the press corps. "The anonymous tips to Child Protective Services?" Maya continued, her voice steady now. "They came from 3 burner phones, all purchased at the same electronics store in Brooklyn using a credit card belonging to Ms. Chen. We have surveillance footage of her making these purchases." She nodded to her team, who began distributing packets to the journalists. "You'll find in your packets complete documentation of Ms. Chen's campaign of harassment against me over the past 4 months. Fake social media accounts created to spread rumors about me. Emails sent to my foundation's board members claiming I was embezzling funds. Anonymous calls to Naomi's pediatrician claiming I was abusing my daughter, all traced back to Ms. Chen." A reporter stood. "Why would she do this? What's her motivation?" Maya's expression hardened. Ms. Chen had an affair with my ex-husband while my father was dying and I was pregnant. She encouraged him to divorce me and marry her, which he did 24 hours after my father's funeral. When their marriage fell apart 6 weeks later, she encouraged him to file for custody of my daughter, not out of concern for Naomi's welfare, but because she believed controlling my daughter would give them access to her inheritance. When that custody case failed spectacularly, Ms. Chen apparently decided to destroy my reputation instead. "What do you want to happen to her?" another reporter called out. "I want her to face consequences. I'm filing a civil lawsuit for defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I'm also filing a criminal complaint for falsifying evidence and making false reports to government agencies. And I'm going to make sure that every person she's tried to deceive knows exactly who she is and what she's done." The press conference lasted another 30 minutes, with Maya calmly dismantling every lie, presenting every piece of evidence, and demonstrating exactly what happened when you came for a Hartwell's family. By that evening, the narrative had completely flipped. The tabloid that ran the original story issued a retraction and apology. Vanessa's social media was flooded with outrage, and the district attorney's office announced they were opening a criminal investigation. But Maya wasn't done. 2 days later, she held another press conference, this one to announce something that would define her legacy far more than any custody battle or revenge plot. "When my father died 6 months ago," Maya said, standing in front of a building in the neighborhood where she'd grown up, "he left me more than money. He left me a mission. He wanted me to help women who felt powerless, abandoned, alone. Women like I was 6 months ago, grieving and pregnant and terrified. So today, I'm announcing the opening of the James Hartwell Center for Women and Children." She gestured to the building behind her, a beautiful renovated brownstone with wraparound accessibility, bright windows, and a welcoming entrance. "This center will provide free legal services for women going through divorce or custody battles, free childcare for single mothers trying to work or go to school, free counseling for women dealing with grief, trauma, or postpartum depression, free job training and placement services, and emergency housing for women fleeing dangerous situations." The cameras flashed as she continued, her voice strong. "We're opening 10 of these centers across the city over the next year, funded by the Richardson Hartwell Foundation with an initial commitment of $200 million because no woman should have to face what I faced alone, and no child should suffer because their mother doesn't have resources." A reporter raised her hand. "Is this response to what Vanessa Chen tried to do to you?" Maya smiled. "No, this was always the plan. My father set this in motion before he died, but what Ms. Chen tried to do reminded me of something important. The best response to people who try to destroy you isn't destruction, it's creation. She wanted to tear me down. Instead, I'm going to build something that will outlast all of us." The centers opened 3 months later to overwhelming demand. In the first week, they helped 53 women. By the end of the first month, that number was 212. By the end of the year, the James Hartwell Centers had served over 3,000 women and children across the city. And Maya discovered something she hadn't expected: healing. Every woman she helped, every child she gave a safe place to play, every mother who walked into her center terrified and walked out with a plan and hope, each one healed a small piece of the wound Marcus and Vanessa had left. She wasn't doing this for revenge anymore. She was doing it because it mattered, because her father had taught her that real wealth isn't what you keep, it's what you give away. 1 year after the custody battle, Maya sat in her office at the flagship Hartwell Center, reviewing grant applications when her assistant knocked. "There's someone here to see you. No appointment. He says his name is Marcus Richardson." Maya's hand stilled on the papers. "Tell him I'm busy." "I did. He says he'll wait as long as it takes." Maya sighed. She could have him removed, should have him removed, but something made her curious. "Fine. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in." Marcus walked in looking like a shadow of the man he'd been. His suit was off the rack, not tailored. His face was drawn, tired. He'd lost weight, and not in a healthy way. "Thank you for seeing me," he said quietly, standing awkwardly by the door. "You have 5 minutes. What do you want?" "To apologize. I know it doesn't mean anything. I know it's too late, but I need to say it anyway." He took a breath. "I destroyed everything good in my life chasing things that didn't matter. I left you when you needed me most. I tried to take Naomi not because I loved her, but because I was greedy and desperate. And I let Vanessa convince me to do terrible things because I was too weak to think for myself." "Is that it?" "No, I also wanted to tell you that you were right about everything, and your father was right about me. I wasn't enough. Not for you, not for Naomi, not for the life you deserved. I see that now. Maya studied him. This man she'd once loved, now reduced to a stranger bearing apologies she didn't need. What do you want from me, Marcus? Forgiveness? Absolution? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just wanted you to know, that I see what I lost and that I'm sorry. Okay, you've said it. Now leave. He turned to go, then paused. Naomi is lucky to have you as her mother. Your father knew what he was doing when he protected you both. When he left, Maya sat in the silence, waiting to feel something. Satisfaction, vindication, even pity. But all she felt was tired. Tired of Marcus, tired of the past, tired of giving him space in her mind he no longer deserved. She pulled out her phone and looked at the photo she'd taken that morning, Naomi at 14 months old, taking her first steps in the nursery her grandfather had designed, laughing with pure joy. That's what mattered. Not Marcus's regrets, not Vanessa's revenge plots, not the billions in the bank, just this, her daughter, healthy and happy and loved beyond measure. Maya's phone buzzed, a text from one of the center directors. Just helped a mom secure emergency custody of her kids from an abusive ex. She's crying with relief. Thank you for making this possible. Maya smiled. This was what her father had meant about real wealth. 6 months later, Vanessa Chen was convicted of filing false reports and sentenced to community service and probation. She declared bankruptcy for the second time and moved out of state. Maya heard she was working retail in Ohio, living with her mother, trying to rebuild a life she'd destroyed chasing money that was never hers to begin with. Marcus faded into obscurity. He took a job in a smaller firm, dated occasionally but never seriously, and became one of those men who peaked early and spent the rest of their lives wondering what might have been. He sent child support payments on time every month, not because the court ordered it, but because it was the only parenting he was capable of. Maya deposited them into a college fund for Naomi, not because she needed the money, but because her daughter deserved to know her father at least tried in some small way. And Maya? Maya became exactly who her father always knew she could be. By Naomi's second birthday, the Richardson Hartwell Foundation had expanded to 15 cities. They'd helped over 10,000 women and children. They'd changed laws, influenced policy, and created a model for community support that other organizations began to replicate. Maya was featured on the cover of Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in philanthropy. Forbes called her the Billionaire, who's changing how America supports struggling families. She gave speeches at conferences, testified before Congress, and used every ounce of her resources and influence to make sure no woman felt as alone as she'd felt that day in the courthouse watching Marcus sign divorce papers. But her favorite moments were still the small ones, reading to Naomi before bed in her father's old jacket that still faintly smelled like him, teaching her daughter to be kind, generous, strong, showing her the portrait of her grandfather in his janitor's uniform and telling her, this is what real success looks like, not the money, the character. On the 5th anniversary of her father's death, Maya took Naomi to the cemetery. Her daughter was 5 now, bright and curious and full of questions. Mama, why are we visiting Grandpa James if he's in heaven? Because his body is here, baby, and we want to honor it, want to tell him thank you. Thank you for what? Maya knelt beside her daughter, running her fingers over the headstone that read, James Hartwell Richardson, janitor, father, hero. Thank you for teaching me that the people who leave you are just making room for you to become who you were always meant to be. Thank you for protecting us even when he was gone, and thank you for showing me that real power isn't taking revenge on people who hurt you, it's building a life so beautiful they become irrelevant. Naomi didn't fully understand, but she nodded seriously and placed the yellow roses they'd brought on her grandfather's grave. As they walked back to the car, Naomi slipped her small hand into Maya's. Mama, when I grow up, I want to help people like you do. Maya squeezed her daughter's hand, tears pricking her eyes. Then you will, baby, because that's what Hartwells do. We don't just inherit money, we inherit purpose. That night, after Naomi was asleep, Maya sat in her study looking at the letter her father had written 5 years ago. The one that said, show no mercy. She'd misunderstood it at first, thought it meant destroy them, make them suffer, take revenge. But now she understood what her father really meant. Show no mercy to the voice in your head that says you're not enough. Show no mercy to the people who try to limit you, diminish you, steal from you. Show no mercy to the systems that keep women powerless, but show tremendous, endless, boundless mercy to yourself. Mercy to grieve, mercy to heal, mercy to build the life you deserve instead of the life others tried to force on you. That was the real victory. Not that she'd destroyed Marcus and Vanessa, though she had thoroughly and completely, but that she'd built something so meaningful, so powerful, so transformative that they simply didn't matter anymore. They'd tried to take everything from her. Instead, they'd given her the freedom to become extraordinary. And as Maya turned off the light and checked on Naomi one last time before bed, she whispered into the darkness, "Thank you, Daddy, for everything. I finally understand what you were trying to teach me all along." Outside her window, the city lights sparkled like stars, full of women whose lives she'd changed, children whose futures she'd secured, and a legacy that would outlive all of them. Marcus had left a billionaire for a mirage. Vanessa had destroyed a woman she thought was weak. And Maya had inherited 5 billion and used every penny to prove that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming so powerful, so purposeful, so whole that the people who tried to break you can't even touch the life you've built. That's what real wealth looks like. And Maya Richardson Hartwell finally, beautifully, completely understood. Final viewer engagement. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone walk out of your life and later realize it was the best thing that could have happened to you? Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, only to discover that betrayal made room for something better? Or have you ever watched someone who hurt you face the consequences of their own choices and felt not anger, but peace? Drop your story in the comments right now. I want to hear about the Marcus or Vanessa in your life and how you survived them. Because Maya's story isn't just her story. It's the story of everyone who's ever been told they weren't enough and had to prove the world wrong. And here's my question for you. If you inherited 5 billion tomorrow, what would you do with it? Would you live lavishly, start a business, change your community? Tell me in the comments. Be specific. Because dreams don't become real until you speak them out loud. Now, where are you watching this from? Are you in Lagos watching this at 2 a.m. when you should be sleeping? Are you in New York listening to this on your commute? London, Dubai, Manila, Tokyo? Drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far Maya's story has traveled across the world. And listen, if this story moved you, if it made you cry or cheer or believe that good people can win, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously. Click it. And here's the important part. Turn on that notification bell. Because I post stories like this every week. Stories about karma, justice, people who thought they got away with something until they didn't. And if you don't have notifications on, YouTube won't tell you when the next one drops, and you'll miss it. Hit that like button if you believe that living well is the best revenge. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their value isn't determined by the people who walked away. And remember what Maya's father taught her. You are never alone. You are never poor. You are never powerless. You just might not know it yet. Thanks for watching. And remember, the people who underestimate you are doing you a favor. They're giving you the chance to prove them wrong in ways they'll never forget.